Hey, what's up, everybody? Major again here from Square the Circle Music channel, coming to you from our studio on the other side of town today. Switching things up this morning, just wanted to, once again, do one of those clarification videos. Major said some dumb shit, needs to backpedal a little bit, check his sources, figure his shit out. You know how it goes. I get to talking, things don't always come out right. I think I had mentioned from my last video, I brought out 10 things that have been slicking their way into the main, thread, getting a lot more spin time. Went over some new releases of 2021 that I'm super stoked about, and also pulled out some old stuff and dusted it off and just wanted to share it with you guys. And I had mentioned also too that I had got my first round of COVID vaccinations, so I was feeling a little bit out of sorts, if you know what I mean. Still kind of feeling a little wackadoodle, but I think I'll be okay. So yeah, just wanted to go over some things and apologize, go over some clarifications, all my oopsie daisies. Like I like to do, I like to keep things legitimate, like to keep things, professional, because that's what I am, total pro, right? So I'll just get right into it. First matter that needs to be addressed, I was going over an album that I love dearly, a local independent release that happened here in the early 80s in Eugene, Oregon. The album called Oregon Hill. I had talked about it, a guitar duo that put out this wonderful album on a local indie label called Cutthroat Records. I was talking about the featured photograph on the cover of the album and how it catches the eye. And of course, being from your hometown, and you see something like that, you're like, fantastic, neat, this is from my hometown, and I recognize that. That's a park like on the south side of town called Amazon Park. Like now there's like a little tiny skate park there that they built in the early 80s, and just kind of neat to see that, see them walking across the grass, and you see the large butte in the south side of town. I mistakenly referred to that as Skinner's Butte. It is not Skinner's Butte, sorry. We have two prominent buttes in Eugene, and the first one that actually is a smaller butte, but it's right in the center of town, is called Skinner's Butte. The one on the south end of town is Spencer's Butte. Sorry, everybody, all you Eugene folks, a little slippy-do. Even locals who've been here for 40, 50, 60 years, I hear you fucking do it too. It happens. Skinner's, Spencer's, blah, blah, blah. Tit for tat, the one on the south side of the town, the one that's featured on that album cover, is called Spencer's Butte. Very sorry. There's the clarification for that. Next one, talking about an album, another one that I brought out, which was an oldie but a goodie. Just wanted to share it, go over it, talk about it a little bit, because I've been loving the shit out of it lately, all of their stuff. I was talking about the Goblin album, the Roller album, and the one that was their precursor to that, which I believe was their first album. I was talking about the gentleman who made all the Italian horror films that they're associated with, Suspiria and whatever, and mistakenly referred to their first, the title of the movie, being, what did I call it? I called it Basso Profundo. That's not correct, sorry. The album's called Profundo Rosso, I think. Yeah. Basso Profundo is actually another album, an album by a really fantastic band called Devachka. If anybody's ever heard of a band called Devachka, good for you. They're fucking fantastic. And get that album, Basso Profundo, from Devachka. But sorry about the oopsie daisy. You can see how I could have made that mistake. So there's that. Next one on the list. I was talking about, again, Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. Love those guys. They had a new release, came out first thing in the new year, 2021. It's a really fantastic album. Everybody really ought to give it a spin. And I was going over some of the track listings and things like that, and I was like reminiscing about the B-side, and I was like, so weird, because this song, so familiar, the song called Mundungus on the B-side, I was like, this song was featured on another record that they did, 2 years ago, called And Now for the Whatchamacallit. That's somewhat incorrect. The album was never featured on the LP, And Now for the Whatchamacallit. It was actually released as a single just following their release of that album in late 2019. So early 2020, that single hit like Apple Music and Pandora and stuff like that. So, and it had like a single, like a separate album art and everything like that. So I just like my my dumb brain got wicked confused about all that. And then of course you had a COVID vaccination into it, and I just entered a whole new reality, and I didn't know what was happening. So please forgive me for that. That song Mundungus was not featured on any other full-length LP. It was brand new for that newest release, Shiga, The Sunlight Mound, 2021. So there's that. What else did I have to add? Let's see here. Oh yeah, going right into not really an oopsie daisy. Just again, kind of just like a clarification. I talk about these guys. I have talked about them in the past quite a bit. I really adore them. I get into kind of like a weird sentimental kind of like stoic kind of attitude when I start talking about them. I'm like, I just want to leave the mystique to what it is and don't want to research them too much. And it's like, that's kind of unfair to them, to the artists, and to anyone else that may be watching this video, I suppose. But I talk about the group Stars of the Lid a lot. And I've made mention, I don't know who they are, where they're from, that kind of thing. Well, you know, I did some research about them. Really intriguing dudes. They started way early on when this genre was still just kind of like, you know, they were grabbing little bits and pieces of what they loved about, you know, ambient music and experimental music, and they were really just kind of like, you know, really pushing the envelope and sending it forward into a new era. So I respect and love them for that. You know, just all the tape loops and all the, you know, sound effects and all the interesting things they were doing and mishmashing it with just, you know, popular art culture and just all kinds of stuff. So two gentlemen actually from Austin, Texas. Forgive me, their names escaped me, but they deserve to be, you know, acknowledged, and they deserve the acclaim. They're fan-fucking-tastic. They have a lot of work under their belt, a lot of work from spanning all throughout the 90s and into the early 2000s, and film, you know, compositions and all sorts of stuff. So everybody dig deep into them. One of the early videos that I had mentioned about them, and I was kind of not really digging or making fun of the band title, the group title, but I didn't really understand what it was pertaining to, or like what it meant or whatever. And it's great when you research groups and you get to know their names and you get to know where they're from and what they're about, because then you learn all of these funny, cool things about them. And it really actually, I'm glad I dug deep, because the name of the group, Stars of the Lid, refers to, one of the men in the band was mentioning about how he feels about the cinema that's going on in his head, and the cinema that occurs between the eyelid and the eye. And everyone knows, like, when you close your eyes, you can see, like, it's called phosphenes or something like that. All that shit that's jumping around on the inner side of your ocular cavity and your eyelids. And I was reading about that, and I was like, that's so neat. The stars of the lid, of like the inner part of your brainscape. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they're thinking about, and that's what they're doing. And it took me back to my childhood. And I used to do that. I used to sit on the couch as like a 6-year-old and rub my eyes. And my mother would be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I would tell her, "I'm playing video games in my head, Mom. I'm playing firework video games." I distinctly remember doing that shit and saying that shit to my mom. And that's, you know, sorry, just a really funny, weird kind of correlation, but that's what they're talking about. And anyone knows that you can do that. You can close your eyes and you can just kind of see all kinds of interesting warbles and psychedelic visual effects. That's neat. And to name your band after that, like, I don't know, that's really neat and interesting, creative, artistic play. I dig it. So I'll stop babbling about that, but everyone check out that group, Stars of the Lid. They're fantastic. Last couple of things that I wanted to go over, some oopsie daisies. Of course, I feel really awful for this, because in memoriam I wanted to talk about one of my very favorite artists of all time, Harold Budd, amazing pianist, ambient soundscape artist. Also, hugely acclaimed and synonymous with the big names like, Brian Eno and stuff like that. And, I butchered some some comment that Eno made about him that I loved, but I'm not going to try to say it again because I'll probably butcher it again. But comparing him to being, a surrealist abstract painter trapped in a musician's body, basically. Which, Eno can say whatever the hell he wants to say because he's just, he's amazing. But I don't think that was meant as kind of a slight or, debasing his talent as a musician. Because he was just an outstanding, talented man altogether. We all know that. So, like I said, rest in power, Harold Budd. But I feel real bad. I totally fucked up his lifespan and the number put on that. Because when I researched it, I just, high on COVID vaxxed, bro. And misread my numbers. I thought he was born in the 40s. He was not. He was born in the 30s. So even there, so he was a decade older than I thought he was. And then, of course, my math is all fucked up in my head. And so anyway, I wasn't too concerned about the math, and I should have been. You should be, when you're talking about someone who has recently passed, you should be as specific as you can possibly be about that person. So, Harold Budd, born May 24th, 1936, died December 8th, 2020. Rest in peace. 84 years old. Monster health complications toward the end of his life. And of course, with all those issues and comorbidities, he did contract COVID-19, and COVID-19 took him. So, that being said, sorry if I infuriated anybody with my bad research. So, sorry about that. And going off lastly, on that same topic, I was trying to hash out a story that I had read about him and that group of guys and what was going on in the late 70s and early 80s with that scene with, basically creating a genre is what they were doing all together. And I had talked about how one of his first albums, I think, I still can't remember what it's called, Unusual Pavilion, or what is it? No, the Pavilion of Secrets, or some shit like that. Sorry, I'm gonna have to make an addendum video just to this part right here. Anyway, it wasn't his first album that I was thinking of. It was another album. It was an album called La Bella Vista that Harold Budd released, I think sometime in the late 80s. It was secretly recorded. I was correct about that. He didn't know it was taking place, but it was actually secretly recorded by Daniel Lanois, which we all know is also involved in that group of incredibly talented individuals. They were hanging out, friends, and he just kind of like disappeared behind not a secret wall, but just disappeared behind kind of like a stanchion or something he had set up in his home, and just flipped, the recorder on, and Harold Budd just did his amazing, masterpiece, magical work, and that album was created that way, in secret, La Bella Vista, which I guess really kind of, in a kind of interesting way, I think that's what Daniel Lanois calls his home, is La Bella Vista, and that's the name of the album, and I don't know, whatever. Rich people. So anyway, that will conclude this short and sweet little video. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Have a wonderful day, depending on where you are in the world. I hope everyone's enjoying the videos and hanging there, and keep doing this thing. Everybody go get your fucking vaccination, you dum-dums. Come on, just do it. It's not poison. Well, it is. It's poison. But we got to do it. We got to get out there. We got to start making music again. We got to make music. We got to show it to people. You got to go support other people's music. You got to be a part of this society, and that's what it means to be part of society, is to put yourself in a very, very mild amount of risk. Just put a tiny piece of yourself on the chopping block, and it's for the betterment of society and the betterment of mankind. We can't be out there supporting artists, and we can't be out there doing what we love to do as humans, and that is performing for each other and dancing around the campfire. You know what I mean? We need to be out there doing that. And the more we hide in our little hidey holes and become more, reliant on all this bullshit, bring my food to my front door, and, getting lazy and sickly. That's what happens, getting lazy and sickly. So put that shit aside. Think about someone besides yourself. Go out there, get your vaccinations, and let's keep making music together, right? Peace out, everyone.